Okay, so the point I was trying to make here is, at least for me, you could present to me whatever the most attractive woman I've ever seen. If I know, even for a casual encounter or long term, if I know that she's actively promiscuous, it's 100% a deal breaker. If she f***ed a dude last night, I don't care how hot she is. For me, it's a wrap. It's over. Don't care how hot she is. Don't care how outside of my league she is. Don't care. She another dude last night, not interested. If she's got a high body count, not interested. It's just 100% a deal breaker for men. Well, excuse me, I shouldn't say
for you.
It's for me. For me, it's 100% a deal breaker. Don't care how hot she is. Don't want to have sex with her once. Don't want to friends with benefits. Don't want a relationship. Don't want anything with a girl who's currently actively other men or has a past of promiscuity.
Well, let's say like is someone like, for example, how you guys were talking about how if a guy like wanted to change his ways, like let's say a girl when she was younger and dumb or whatever was doing a bunch of stuff like, and they didn't want to be like that anymore, you'd say that that would affect it like completely. Like you wouldn't give them like any benefit of the doubt. Like
there you go. That's the $1 million question, right? You finally kind of hit on the thing we're getting at here. So I think that since all of you basically said, if it came to my celebrity crush and they're reformed, I would still go on a date with them, and maybe if things went well, yeah, I would definitely settle down with a guy. Maybe he's a really good guy, something like this. For a lot of men, it's a complete disqualifier immediately, right? Even if your past still remains with you. There's a lot of this that happens where women will move over to the Christian church, right, after having a love life filled with threesomes and every horrible thing in the world. And they should, right? They should come into Christ. I agree with that. But it doesn't erase their past. You don't get to buy a new reputation. So a lot of them think that they deserve to have men who are extremely high quality, even though they have that past. And, well, they don't. Men still have a preference against that. They're like, well, you did fuck 300 guys, and I'm going to, take a hard pass on that. Or, even 20. Or 15 or 10, and the reason for that is because exponentially it makes them feel like they're not special, really. If you think about it, isn't that really what they would feel like? Like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I have you, but so did fucking half the block, right? They wouldn't. Why would it make them feel good about themselves, right? That's not an accomplishment, right?
When you mentioned groupies, I'm not saying you were using it to justify it, but when you mentioned groupies as a example of kind of how this dynamic works, I don't think just because it happens that it's okay, and I think it's also just a product of dating culture.
Well, look, I agree. I don't think male promiscuity is good. I don't think female promiscuity is good.
So we're on the same page about it.
On both fronts, I think both are bad. I'm not in the same camp as a lot of different people are. I think it's bad for men generally to be promiscuous, but I also understand social dynamics. And while I can say both things are bad, I can clearly tell that women care way less about it than men do. Then if that's the case, then that needs to be taken into account in the dating scene, right? It really does. Because what happens is women limit their prospects later for fun now.
I feel like, yeah, and if that's like something that someone wants, I feel like there shouldn't be a problem in it looking, because everybody, like when you're looking for somebody that you want to be with, like obviously everyone's going to have certain standards. So I feel like if that's just what somebody wants to hold a standard to, then I would say that is their right to do so. Some people are different, but I feel like that is completely like understandable if that's something like in their future, like where they know like they're going to spend the rest of their life with this person. If that's something that they wanted to have in a woman, then I feel like that should be respected, because there is a million different people.
The thing that's funny about all this is like, I can tell you how history is going to go. Like in a crystal ball right now, I'll tell you exactly how it's going to go. You can imagine that men, let's just say men magically tomorrow had access to the NFL en masse. They could all just go play for the NFL. Whenever they, basically any of them could just go do that. A lot of them would go do that, and they would get brain damage, they would get fucked up, they get all kinds of messed up going and playing in the NFL. Right? But when they were young, they wouldn't care because they'd be making a bunch of that NFL money. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't think about the stage 2, stage 3 of life. They would only think about that stage 1. What we're seeing right now is the phenomenon of women in the same exact mindset. They can all join the NFL. They can all join OF and be part of that sexual elite and make that big bag of cash, easy money, right? But that's only stage one. What happens when he gets to stage two and stage three? Well, the boxers, men who box, they get brain damage, they get messed up, they have all sorts of consequences. Men in the NFL, all sorts of consequences. Men who do these things end up with severe damage in exchange for that money. Same shit's going to happen to all these OnlyFans girls. Same stuff. They're not preparing for the future. They're not preparing for the future them. They're only preparing for the right now them. And you can imagine the damage that would do to men if they had that kind of access, but for some reason, women don't even think about the amount of damage they're doing to themselves.
Well, then you've got to
You're
blame
gonna
the
run
men
into
in a way
stage two
because
at
they're
some
the
point.
ones who are paying for it.
You got to just let him finish his thought before you.
Yeah, you're gonna run into stage two of life, and you're not there yet. And when you get there, you're gonna realize that, oh shit, yeah, there's a heavy price and a heavy toll to be paid for the bag now.
I'm
All right,
not on OnlyFans.
Okay. Chair one, you're in the
you?
corn business.
How
Most
about
men
you?
in the corn business have to
Alright.
start with corning men. So would you be exclusive with a guy with a